everybody, to the brand new Too High, a recap of The Summit, a podcast on the Reality After Show Network. My name's Wayne Memmott. You've seen me talking about Survivor. You've seen me talk about Big Brother. You've seen me on the Patreon recap. And with me, one of our fans and friends and people we've met out in the world, and we've really hit it off. We've got Ohmar here. What's up, Ohmar?
Not much, man. Just excited to get straight into this whole recap, and excited to be here.
Dude.
Very, very excited to be here.
Dude, I'm pumped. We've definitely shared a few blunts and things at our Reality After Show watch parties here in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Yes.
Omar's been coming to our parties probably longer than I have, to be honest, because I think I've seen you at every single one that I've ever been to.
Yeah, I was about to say, if so, then the first one you came to had to be my first one, because that was you were actually the first person I met from the podcast when I came to that event. So this is actually it seems like a full circle moment here to be having my first podcast here with you. So
yeah, dude. Us stoners, we find each other pretty quickly in a room. We're pretty quick to pair up. We can usually identify each other. You're a little easier to see because you got the long dreads. I'm like, that guy smokes weed.
It's either that or you just look for like that person to just walk out of the room. Like, okay, when it's all right, somebody's about to walk out for that smoke break. Who is it? Like,
So and anymore, it's not cigarettes. It's always weed. So we're calling this podcast Too High because it's a show about the summit, but also during the podcast we're probably going to be too high. Most likely, it's and this is all on the Reality After Show Network. Again, if you like what you hear here, tune into the channel, like, review, subscribe, do all of that stuff. Sign up for the Patreon. It's short. There's a lot of great content. It's $7 a month. And if you don't like it, Jonny Fairplay will give you your money back. So also, this is a new podcast. So really comments about this and what you like about it and what you don't like about it really help us, because this is, I think, our first time on screen together right here, right now.
Definitely. Definitely. I thought there was gonna be like at least one little how they do like chemistry reads when people do like actual like films and stuff together. I was like, okay, we're definitely gonna meet at least once before we talk about the show, right? Or at least once about the show before we talk about the show. And I was like, nope, that's not happening. Okay, we're gonna dive right in. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, maybe not. No, I think if it sucks, they'll just can it and we'll never hear it. So. I don't think it will.
We're gonna. I think we'll be all right. We'll be all right.
I think we'll be all right. All right. If you're
Fingers crossed.
If you're listening to it, you can watch us on YouTube, or whatever you guys want to do. Consume it how you consume it. That's what I say. That's how I think about it.
And it is a good reason why I will probably never be on nobody's summit, because I am going to be out of breath as soon as I get just not even halfway up there. So.
You think they got blunts at the checkpoint camp?
If they look, that will get me through. Okay, that will be it. Like, yo, I don't care about just get me to the checkpoint. I'm tired. I want to smoke. Y'all getting on my nerves. Like, that's it. It'll propel us the way. Like, if you're smoking in that environment, you're gonna bring good vibes to everybody. It don't matter how tired everybody is. You're like, hey, but you know what we got at the checkpoint though? A nice blunt. Okay.
A nice big one. Yeah. All right. So we're going to get into the summit. I think we always start with a little bit of weed talk.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like it.
We'll get right into the summit. The summit is a show on CBS. It is hosted by, and I'm looking this up now because I have no idea what his name is Manu Bennett. Mm-hmm.
Yes, Deathstroke. Oh man, that's my guy. Off that one show.
Is he the Arrow Deathstroke?
Yes, that is him.
No way.
That is him. Yes, that is definitely him. As soon as he popped up on screen, I'm like, Deathstroke? That's what you got? Okay, I'm here. He got the scar still and everything. Okay, that wasn't prosthetics. Nice to know.
I forgot. I love that Arrow show. I loved him. I didn't even remember that was him. I texted Johnny. I was like, did they want to get JLP from Australian Survivor, and this is who they landed on? Because that's what it feels like. It feels like I made the meme, and it was like, "Hey mom, I want JLP," and it's like JLP at home, and it's this guy. But man, that meme doesn't hold up because I love him. All right.
Man. Yeah. I seen it immediately. I got one of those like instant recall kind of faces. Like, you know, once I see people in one thing, I'm like, okay, I know who that is. So it was cool to see him here. It's like, so at least some familiarity here. So, yeah.
So this show is 18 contestants of all walks of life, all types of people, all athletic skills. Assumingly, they're told they're going to be doing something like this so they can train a little bit. I think, you know, they knew they were coming in to do something super difficult.
I would hope so, but however, judging by what happened in the first 15 minutes, was it? 20?
We'll get to it.
We're not sure.
I think that guy was a plant, but
I think it's like we got to show him it's hard.
So we've got a bunch of different people, and it really feels like this is the general CBS casting call, where it's like, hey, all of you would be good on one of our other shows, and we're going to figure it out while you're on this show. Right?
Yeah, definitely.
Right? Okay.
Definitely got those vibes.
We've got some people on here that we could see in a Survivor situation, I think. I think we've got some people that we could definitely see in a Big Brother situation. And I also think we've got some The Challenge people in here. You know,
definitely. Yeah. I was about to ask, is that like a hallmark of like being a true reality show fan? Is like, as soon as you see another reality show, the first thing you do is immediately start fan casting them into other shows and be oh man, I can see this guy here. Like,
I don't know if I fan cast him, but this casting is diverse and unique enough that I'm like, where did they get all of these people? Because like Survivor casts a certain type. Like The Challenge doesn't really cast. They kind of do, you know, but they don't. They cast
got
from
their
other
people.
shows.
It's like a recruitment.
Right. And Big Brother, this is like a close to a Big Brother casting. Like I'll bet you could drop most of this cast just into Big Brother and you have a pretty good show as well. But I think it's a lot of people that got something to prove, you know, athletically for some reason.
Yes, we get. I feel like we got those right off the rip with like with Jeff. We got his like kind of intro right off the bat. I think they immediately introduced Dennis to us right off the bat. We got Dusty right off the bat. And immediately those are like the three guys that are pushing as like, these are the athletic guys. These are the alpha males. So for one reason or another, pay attention to them.
Like, these are the guys. They very much like typecasted. They made sure there's enough moms so that the moms can all get along. They've got some like off-center kind of weirdos, and I say this lovingly. Like, if I don't know if any of them are going to listen to this. By the way, if you listen to this and you want to come on and talk about the show with us, we would love to have you because I have so many questions about how the show was made. We're not going to get into all of it on this, but I have some very real questions. But I mean, you've got some people like Theron and Robert who are kind of like, all right, they're going to be able to hang with people, but they're like, they're the characters.
They were definitely cast as the characters. Yeah, you said it. Yeah, like I got right out. You get Theron, he gets introduced. They give him the map, and you even get a shot of like one of the other girls, Pumpkin. Like she gets a look. Like I don't know if he's supposed to be our leader for the day, but like it's one of those where it's like, okay, we're in for a journey here, and
we are.
That the advertisements for the show did not do it justice. So
no, I didn't really know what the show was going to be. But it was interesting enough to me that I was like, all right, I'm going to watch it. And if it's good enough and doesn't move too slow, I'll keep watching it. And we got 2 episodes in. That's why we're starting it now with 1 and 2, because we wanted to watch 2 episodes and be like, all right, is there going to be something to talk about? And I think there is. I think this is a cool show, and it's got a different type of strategy. And it's got some cool elements that, like, you don't really have in it. And you know, so... So I guess before we get into it, we should talk about what the show, I guess, what they're doing. So they all have $1 million, and it's split across 18 backpacks. Do you know how much money they have in their backpack then? I didn't.
See, look, you put me on the spot with the math. I didn't come prepared.
I got.
I do not. They did. Yeah, they definitely did show, and that is an interesting wrinkle that they introduced with like all right, so if they decide like, oh, I can't make it, they lose that part of the money. Like that is
Right.
something that makes it different than just, hey, reach to the top and there's $1 million here and vote people off along the way.
Right.
Like, you know, which
Right.
that came as
So
a
they each
surprise
have
too.
I think like 55 grand is rough calculation around in their backpack, vacuum sealed. So they got to carry everything that they need, all their stuff, plus 55K. If any of them quit or medically and deemed unable to go, and as we see later, little twists that'll get them cut while they're on their trek, then they lose the money. The group doesn't have that money. But then if they get to the checkpoint, then they get to do a thing where they vote out somebody. And if they vote out somebody, then that money is then split across everybody that's left. And everybody that makes it to the end makes it to the end, and they split the money. First question is, how many people... Oh, I was about to say, like... Go ahead. No, you go.
Okay.
You go.
Because I was about to say, did they... I wonder, do the cast know something we don't? Because if one of the episodes, Rob says something that maybe be like, are they voting on who gets the $1 million or something at the end? Because that would be weird.
I don't know. It feels like it's one of those shows where they filmed it and then they've kind of had to like fix it afterwards. Maybe a little bit. They've had to impose. Impose, and they haven't to like really drive a storyline. Because what I want to know is, like, how many people do the producers think are going to get to the top? Because there's not enough pit stops along the way to have just 2 or 3 people. There's 7.
I believe there's 8.
8 pit stops. So theoretically, 8 people are voted out. We're going to guess that another 3 to 5 are going to get cut or quit. Maybe more. Maybe it's upwards of 8. So now we're down to like 4 people. So I'm just trying to think, are these people thinking I'm going to get $100,000 or $250,000? Or am I like, is there going to be 1 at the end? Are they going to throw a checkpoint in where it's like there's just 2 people left and you vote? Like, how
you got to race to the end type of deal?
Right. There's different things. Now, they've set it up because there's one big important part that we haven't talked about. They've got a producer's hand, and that is the Mountains Keeper. Right?
Yes. Which, for some reason, I kept wanting to call the quartermaster all the time. I'm like, where the fuck am I getting quartermaster from? Yes, the Mountain Keeper.
The Mountains Keeper is an unidentified person in the first episode. Second episode, we find out it's a she because the Manu says like what she wants. And they come around and drop big yellow bags that change the game, right? They drop something and you got to do something, right? And most of the point is to get people out.
Yeah. Which is like, to me, seems like they definitely want people to get to the end. Like, they don't, because I feel like you wouldn't introduce something like that if you don't want people to actually make it. Because otherwise, you'll just leave them to their own, whims and say, hey, if y'all don't make it, y'all don't make it. But them introducing that twist that makes those decisions to, because when I was watching both episodes back to back, I was watching like the challenge where they're like, okay, you dropped the thing to save Bo, and then the next challenger literally cutting somebody out. It could have been anybody. And it's kind of like, all right, so that seems a little redundant, but you wouldn't do that if you didn't want them to actually make the time to get to the top.
Right.
So like, I like that they put that in there.
So like in the second episode, when they get to the bridge and they're forced to cut somebody, I don't know that they would have been that if they had voted out, or if they had like sacrificed Bo in the first. They probably would have just get across the fucking bridge and move along. I agree with you. Definitely. They're like, no, this guy's not going to make it, and he won't quit. You have to get rid of him. Because they'll never vote him out. They would have never voted Bo out.
I think he would have survived the entire game. He just has such heart, and he just keeps going, and he's motivating for the rest of us. And if I am anybody down there, actually, if I'm there, because Theron literally says it, like, no, Bo got to go. Like, we got to get rid of him. At the first checkpoint, he's like, no, he has to go. Like, there's no decision to be made here.
Right. So we're starting off on our trek, and Theron becomes the leader. They're like, he's got the map.
And immediately asked, does anybody know how to read a map? Like, so that setup was perfect.
Right. So he starts going, and they're making their way up the trek. And then they like don't know how to read a map and they go like 45 minutes in the wrong direction. It's all just like goofy, like, oh, this is hard, mess. You know, it's a hot mess. It's a hot mess, and they're all revealing their character. Theron said he thought there were too many moms. He's like, there's a lot more moms than I thought there would be on this journey.
Yeah, and like, bless their hearts, I was slightly, I'm like, man, we can make a drinking game by every time the moms acknowledge, I'm a mom. I'm like, okay, we heard you the first time. Yeah. We get it. Like, you're a parent, we got it. Like,
they know who they hope is watching.
Yes. Who they hope is funny.
Their first incline, it's very clear that there's like no paths. Like, there's not really paths
which I love
for them. I do too.
Yes.
This is not like hey, you just got to go along this, like, what everybody knows is this ancient trail. It's like, no, you're going uphill.
It's like, nah, figure it out.
You got to go.
Yeah, like they they obviously like set up the trek to be like, okay, this is how long it's going to take to get here for these people or whatever. And these are probably like the safety measures we'll have to take along the way. But other than that, it's like, here's your map, figure it out. Like, yeah, that is so
good. I know. I do wish they had like an overlay more throughout the episode of the map to show their progress. Like, I want to know the distance,
like kind of like tracking
travel. Yeah, I'd like to track. Like, if they're doing this path, even if I want to see like, here's the path we thought they would take, and they're like all the way the fuck over here. Because when they found out they were 45 minutes off, it didn't feel that way to us because we're like, oh, you're just gonna keep walking through woods. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not like looking at a visual of them like going this way, it's like, or whatever.
And it's like, if you wanted to be like that cynical reality viewer, you could be like, they could have just had somebody say that they were off track just to make it look harder, and they didn't really do that, like very easily, like, because you can't. There's no way to tell. So it would have been cool to see that. Actually, I didn't even think about that. Like, I only thought about something like that when they showed us the checkpoints, and I was like, okay, 14 days, this many checkpoints. How does that break down math wise? Like, if you're walking that, like, how do you break that down in days? Like, okay, this many days, we only got this many checkpoints, we're behind, type of deal. But that's obviously they have people telling them like, you're behind.
You're behind. Yeah, Manu tells them all the time, like, hey, you guys are moving too slow. You are way too slow.
I love it.
You have to go faster. I don't know why they cast these people that can't walk uphill to climb up a hill, but you got to get rid of them. That's the show. Come on, dudes. You got to.
Yeah, it's a part of the social experiment, right? It's like, okay, do these people like make these bonds to where the bonds become more important than the objective? So where people are like, oh man, this person is just too important that I have to accomplish this mission with this person.
Right.
Like, it's like a bonus objective that you really don't need to have. Like, you signed up on the show to get to the top of the mountain. You can't do that, man. What's the point?
Yeah, you can't climb. And immediately, speaking of can't climbing, 20 minutes into the episode, Tony goes down, man. Tony's got a good story. Tony's got a short story. He used to weigh a ton. He's worked his ass off. He's got this beautiful moment where his kids like look at photos of him when they were babies. And they're like, who is that? And it's him. Like, he lost incredible transformative journey.
Yeah.
Totally understand why you'd want to do this. But I think he was a plant to be like, hey, people, that when we're casting this again, just because you can lift and run on a treadmill, that don't mean you can do this.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. I didn't think about it that way. I'm like, I really thought like this is his story, and he was like, hey, if I can do this to lose this weight, of course I could go and walk up this mountain.
Timber.
Which is like soon as he fell with that slow slide, it was like that was a moment of defeat in his face. You could say he didn't want to get up there. And the part bless Shweta's part when she said, it's so mean, but I laughed so hard when she was like, oh, he just needs some water and a granola bar. He'll be fine. Oh, I had the thought, too. I wasn't going to say it out loud to my TV screen, but, like...
I'm not going to lie.
Just get re-energized.
I know exactly what he was feeling, all sweaty, hot, faint. I honestly think, like, medical intervention was too much, because they obviously have food and water. So it's like, it's up to the group to be like...
Yeah, I thought about that, too. Like,
hey, do you get like a time? Because like it seemed like they pretty much swooped in and they're like, no, you're done. And it's like,
yeah.
I mean, is it that quick for everybody, or is it like, was it that long, or like, and how does that affect their time when the medical steps in? Like,
I wonder if it was really that long, just because we see like that first episode, they don't make the first checkpoint, but they after they lose Tony and they lose Bo, they make both checkpoints in those like 2 episodes, 2 days, whatever it was. So I wonder if they really did have to wait that long. Like I would actually be pissed if we waited that long and then I got to sleep in this damn bivy camp. But I mean, I think they could have definitely. I wonder if they did. I would love to. Again, if people on the show want to come and talk about it with us, I wonder if they did take a second to be like, okay, get him some water, get him something to eat, and then we're going to try to walk again, and then that's when the medical intervention happens.
That's when medical intervention. Yeah, I'm sure because they can't show everything, and they won't because it's just walking mostly.
Yeah,
that's kind of what I think might be the weakness of the show is that it's mostly walking and then one challenge, but the challenge can't be like super hard because they have to do it with like backpacks and stuff, so.
Yeah, I mean, the walking up the mountain itself is already a challenge in itself. And I was wondering that coming into the show. I'm like, okay, so is it just really them walking up the mountain? So when they showed that they had challenges, I'm like, okay, that's cool, I guess. But then the first 2 episodes, we kind of see that they're both crossing a thing, like different variations of just crossing something.
Yep.
So the preview for the season did give me a little hope because it does seem like they're doing a lot of boating and stuff like that. There's like the ladder to the pearly gates in the next episodes, which I would die if I seen that. But so I'm hoping they find some different ways to make the challenges interesting throughout the show.
Yeah. So they get up to a spot, and again they were like, I guess we're not making the checkpoint. Manu kind of pops out and is like, you're sleeping here, bitch.
It's funny because they're happy to see him. Oh, we made it. We see Manu. He's here. He's like, y'all didn't make it.
Nah, dude,
shut that down.
I got 4x4s. I'm rolling around this mountain. Yeah, I'll meet you wherever. You sleeping here, dogs. Pull out your little sleeping bag tents with a little fucking hood on it and zip yourself up. Yeah. And just like,
have you ever seen those before? I've never seen those before in life.
I've never seen them, but I'm sure they're like for those really hardcore people, like the really, really hardcore that are just like, yeah, I need like 5 things. And I'm just going to go in the woods for 3 weeks or whatever, Like,
Becky Lee definitely does this in her off time. She does. Yeah. She there was a picture of her on top of Memmott. I'm like, she's familiar with this. She does this.
Oh yeah. I think Becky Lee's going to be really strong at this game, for sure. Becky Lee, Pumpkin. I think
my girl. Oh, she held it down.
Man, Pumpkin's a favorite of mine. I think Theron's going to be around for a long time. I think Dennis is not long for this world. I think Jeff and Dusty are around for a while.
See, I am all opposite. As much as I love fine ass Dr. Jeff, I don't think he's going to be long for this game, and I think Dennis might actually come out on top on this. For some reason in my soul, I think it's just because I might have spoiled myself with the season trailer. Okay. I did the thing that I never do, which is like I slowed down and watched through it, and I'm like, there's not enough Jeff in here, and I'm getting pissed. I see Dennis all over this thing. What is going on? I can't help it. There's even a moment where Pumpkin is like, what? In the voting out thing, and I'm like, if that is them voting out Jeff because they set up the relationship between Jeff and Pumpkin so well with these first 2 episodes, and I'm like, that got to be the reaction. That can't be nobody else going. But I hope I'm wrong. I do hope I'm wrong because I cannot stand Dennis.
I'm really just counting on these group of people not really playing a game, being so focused on climbing a mountain that they kind of forget to play the game. Because even like in episode 2, like as they're like they get to the checkpoint, they're like, "Oh yeah, who do we have to vote off? Crap! Like we haven't thought about it." And it's like, "What do you mean? They're just walking. Pair up. Talk about who you're getting rid of. Like that's strategy time, dog. I don't know."
Yeah, like I feel like that's a good shout out to my girl Pumpkin. That's where she held it down, like right there in the beginning of that first challenge. As soon as they got to it, and they're talking about, I think Dennis might have been mentioning the whole strong guy thing, talking to somebody else about Jeff, and immediately she goes to Jeff and like, hey, be careful because Dennis is mentioning you as like one of the talking about getting rid of the strong guys. And she was even there in that tent the night before it showed when they was talking about it, and she didn't say nothing. Like she kept it so cool and was like, I'm not about to say nothing. And shout out to Pumpkin. She's great. I love her already, and I hope that they do not. I was so confused at Dennis during that conversation because I'm like, why would the strategy be to get rid of strong people? If y'all are trying, if the goal is to make it to the top of the mountain, that's not computing to me. Like,
No.
do you get that in any way, shape, or form?
No, I don't know why. Yeah, I just don't think they're playing the game. I just don't know that they're half of them aren't there, and it's one of those things where it's like everyone's got to be playing the game for the game to work.
Yeah. And you said something earlier about like there's a couple egos out there, and I'm like, Dennis is definitely one of those where I'm like, there's no other reason for you to be targeting other strong guys than just
No.
you want to be the only strong guy to make it to the top.
Right. Yeah. So let's see. They do their night. They all kind of wake up. We're just going through the first episode. We'll kind of breeze through.
Yes, poor Bo.
Bo is like, everything hurts. I can't even move. I slept on the fucking ground in a sleeping bag. I'm gonna go up this mountain.
I'm like, he's almost a man. I gotta play it off like I was just stretching. I tried to get up and I couldn't. I was like, what the, sir? If this is your day after night one, you're not getting up to the top.
No, hell no.
Like
hell no.
I will get to. I mean, I guess we'll wait till we get to the vote out. But that was the time to just be like, hey, this is it.
Right.
Yeah.
So they get to the rope bridge, and they're going on their journey in their first challenge. Right, it's his first challenge.
Yeah.
And it's a rope bridge, guys. Guess what? Bridges are going to become a big thing in this because there's only so many things they can do on a mountain.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
they get to a bridge. Becky Lee is the leader, right? And she
elected the leader.
Has to pick. And she picks the pairs
Rose.
to come across.
Yeah. She goes across with Rose, who immediately becomes a character in this challenge.
Yes, immediately. She's like, oh, I'm important because I went first with Becky Lee, who's the leader. So then she's like, I guess I need to insert myself in this game for the first time and the rest of the time, pretty soon the last time. Pumpkin and Genie go next. This looks very difficult. I'm not gonna lie.
It does. I don't know if they all did the easiest strategy though. Like, wouldn't it make more sense to do a cross grip on something like that? As if they hold on shoulders, it's easier to kind of rock back and forth. Whereas if you're doing a cross grip, you can kind of lean, you can use that leverage a little better to kind of just focus on the footing and crossing the ropes. No,
they're an H. They need to be an A.
Yeah.
Right? Because then they're
a lot of them was definitely like this.
Because once you lean back, you're going back and falling off.
Yeah. It's weird. But they got through
so then everybody goes across except Bo. And
on the way crossing, that's when they were like, oh, it's only 15 of us. Somebody's not going to get across.
Someone's not coming across. So the mountain keeper shows up, drops the yellow bag, and which has gear to bring Bo over, or they can just leave him in his money. And they're like, we can't get rid of him. But Theron's like, I mean, what are we going to do? Carry him up the mountain? Theron's like,
right, they are giving us the sign right here. This is a clear sign. They're telling us what we need to do.
Yeah, and
they're going to give you an option.
Yeah, like the producer, the little greenskeeper, whatever, mountainskeeper's like, all right, Bo's last, blah, 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 blah. Cut this boy, save his life, guys, we gotta save his life. Anyway.
Yes. I love it. The mountainskeeper seems to be it's going to be a dick. I like it.
Yeah, keeping Bo. Mm-hmm. So then they save Bo. And they, again, walk. Just walk.
We're walking.
They're walking. And they get to their checkpoint tent, right? They get to the first, we get to see what this checkpoint is. And it confirms what I thought it would be, is that the checkpoint will be wherever they need the checkpoint to be to tell the story.
So that's why we're not getting a tracking shot.
It ain't much, right? It's a couple of pop-up tents they can put up in 30 minutes, and it's like, all right, these guys are going to get to this flat spot in about an hour, or 2 hours. So this is where the checkpoint is. They probably got them scouted out. They know, where they're going or whatever. Because it's just not making sense to me because Manu keeps saying you're falling behind. It's like if if they're making checkpoints, then they should be back on schedule. I don't know how you're falling behind. Like, do you expect them to make it to a checkpoint and then go further? Do they get to the checkpoint halfway through the day and they're like, oh, we're good? And someone's like, no, y'all, we got sleeping in the woods. Let's go.
Yeah, especially because they're not giving us, they're not even giving us, the audience, the dates and times. Like, hey, this is this day, day 2, hour this of this day. Like, so at least we can follow along a little better to be like, all right, they are kind of behind in checkpoints if they only have 14 days to get this done. Right. So maybe there's some improvement to make on a potential season 2, people.
Well, I mean, I think there is, because it's like, this is part of the point where it's like, when you're watching, I don't know if you've ever watched like Alone or any of those like other Outlast or any of those other like Alone in the Woods shows or whatever, but they always have like stats, you know, they're always popping up with stats and like a map or whatever, just to reorient you. And I think this show would be served well with a couple stats to kind of like keep us on track, even if they're made up. I don't 100%. Care. I don't care if they're made up. I just make it track and like throw a stat so we know where we're at in this whole thing.
Yeah, at least so we the audience should be able to follow along a lot better and engage how challenging we think it is beyond just what you choose to show us at this point, you know?
Yeah.
So this is where we get our, well, at least a surprise to me, the front there, they actually have to eliminate people here.
Yeah. Mine is like, hey, and I know rainbows and butterflies, dog. You're cutting them out. And so now it's kind of everyone's first time to talk and strategize.
And Dennis is immediately excited in the confessional. Oh, I've been waiting to be a villain. It's like, this is not the show for that. I don't think it is, friend. But
no. And he's
maybe the villain is just the person who cuts out the people that everybody loves. Like, yeah, we're gonna get rid of Bo today because everybody's gonna love him. Like, I don't. Yeah, it was exciting because I'm like, I didn't get how they were going to come to how was this going to work with people just making this amount with money. I'm like, how is this going to work? So getting eliminations at the checkpoints, I'm like, yes, this is a good twist to have because they're obviously going to make bonds on this journey together, and it's going to make it that much harder to get rid of people. That's just the way it goes in any type of situation like this,
especially like this. And it was heartening to me to see that they were playing strategy right away. Like, it wasn't just every Survivor cast. It's like, who's the oldest, who's the weakest, and they did kind of go, who's the oldest, who's the weakest. But then, like,
who's the slowest? They're holding his bag.
Yeah, but then Dennis was kind of like, we gotta get rid of some of these mobs, or they're gonna run this game. Like, he's already thinking. So it's like, what? The villain is he's just already strategizing.
Yeah, and it was like, for real, like a 2-headed dragon between him and Shweta. I like that name, Shweta. Who was like, she immediately goes, oh, well, that we could get rid of the slowest people, but there's also people here who are just bringing us down. And it's like, do you want to get rid of the people who are slowing us down or the people who are just bringing us down? And which was, I seen that coming. Soon as we got the rose stuff during that challenge, I was like, ooh. Oh, people don't like this.
Spoiler alert, Shweta is the one person in this whole cast that should not have got them voting on vibes because she's this number 2 vibe killer. She's number 2. She's like, hey, y'all, you should vote this really for the same reason you're going to use to vote me out next time. Like, it's exactly what it was. She's so unaware of herself, and she thinks she's this one person, and she's not. And she's just like, yeah, we should get rid of the vibe killer. It's like, no. You are. Then after that, Dennis, like, those are the vibe killers.
Yeah, I do. Oh my God, I really hope that is the next one to go. And that is the one thing I will always love about reality TV is no matter what kind of concept it is, you will always get people who come into it with the person they want to be or the person they think they are. And this situation just usually, for the most part, just shows them something completely opposite. And it's great. I love it. The best source of entertainment.
Right.
It's Jonny Fairplay, reality TV icon, Survivor Hall of Famer, and I'm talking today about Work Money. Work Money is a non-profit organization that focuses on lowering costs and raising incomes for all Americans to make American life more affordable. And American families more economically secure. They provide products, services, perks, benefits, tips, and tools to help members improve their financial lives. It's time to level up and make more money in this economy. We're talking getting rich. Now, this sweepstakes is giving away $50,000. You can use this to pay your rent, your mortgage. Imagine what you can do with all the money that you'll save. Now, this is put on by Work Money, and this site has all these sick benefits, and it's free. Go sign up right now and get more rich. Now, listen, you can change your life. Now, what would you do if you didn't have to pay your rent or mortgage for a year? Listen. Sign up right now for free. Link is available right here in the show notes. Check them out. Personally, I'd get more pinball machines. I'm Jonny Fairplay. I wouldn't lie about that. It's work money. More money.
So then they have to go vote. And what's interesting about this game, we'll get to the vote, then we'll get to the next episode, is that everything is in the open.
Uh-huh.
There's no hiding.
There's secrets.
Which it's like, I really like that format for like people that are seasoned reality television people, like competition. So like if they do something like this in the challenge, it's like refreshing and interesting because they can't go like hide and do it. But what I'm afraid is going to happen with this is it's just like everybody kind of decides and then everybody just votes because nobody wants to be left in the minority.
Majority rules always.
Right.
Because as soon as you're not in that majority, that is immediately what people are going to, at least in the mindset, is people are going to vote you out next time. Yeah. So
it's like your vote was inconsequential, but you still weren't with us, so I don't trust you. Like, is essentially how it works.
And this is, we'll see if it becomes one, but as of right now, this doesn't seem like one of those games where it's like I necessarily need to be trying to strategize to get like the people I trust, whereas it's like I kind of just want you to be able to get to the mountain with me. Like, if I trust you, cool, but I really am relying on that.
I think right now they should definitely be focusing on getting up the mountain quickly. I don't think that they should be focusing on vibes. I think that it's like, yo, you got to get there before anyone wins shit. So it's like, you got to cut people.
And I think it doesn't, maybe it doesn't help that Rose was also in the back, too. Right. So I think if it was like, we could have probably dealt with your bad vibes if you were up in the front of the pack. Right. I think that's what, is it Jenny? I think Jenny might get away on that. If she is a bad vibe person, I don't know. There was some things in the episodes that made it seem like, okay, maybe she might have a little thing with some people, but.
Well, and she's like not with the moms, but she is a mom. And she's like, well, I don't want to be a mom. Like, yeah, exactly. So they wrote Rose out. Basically, you're right. She was the slowest, worst person. You know, there's two charts happening. Bo was slower, but everyone loves Bo. I was a little bummed they didn't leave him. It's like, also, it's like, hey y'all, this is a game. Every chance you have to cut somebody, the answer should be sucks for you. You're cut. Like I mean, you know,
right.
Like, and use those strategies. Like, I can't wait till they figure out where it's like you got to pick one to come over, like that kind of strategy, like stacking it up so that's like, you know, one of two people. You can choose the order, whatever, for one of two people to go home. So
it was really perfect.
Yep, that was episode 1, and then we go to episode 2, which we're kind of going to breeze through because it's a lot of the same. We can hit some of the highlights, I think, if you want, because it really is like, okay, they're walking some more, and guess what? There's another bridge.
Yeah. And I mean, this is where they showed us all the stuff we kind of already talked about with the whole dinner strategy of wanting to get rid of Jeff. And this is actually when they showed Jeff being like the likable leader, because Sweater takes the map and gives it to him like, oh, I don't want to be the leader. I want to get that to somebody else. And Jeff is just like, well, I guess if nobody else wants to take it, I'll take it. The reluctant leaders always seems to be the best ones. So
Jeff is Jeff's definitely, this was a heavy Jeff episode. He seems like a cool guy. He reminds me a lot of Leroy from the challenge.
He does.
He reminds me a lot of Leroy. I like him a lot. They do. Let's see. They go bathing. They find a waterfall.
Yep.
What do you think the temperature was? I mean,
way too
56
cold.
degrees. Yeah, dude. I mean,
Like, no, I'm not doing it. Way too cold for me to be doing it. I would have been with is it Jeannie or Jenny? I don't know.
I
The
think
one
it's
with the cat
Genevieve.
here. She was literally like, "Look at them."
Oh,
Is it Genevieve? Is that
there's
I'm about to say
Jeannie
that's
and
the doctor.
Genevieve. There's Jeannie and Genevieve. So yeah, I think you're talking about Jeannie.
Oh, okay, Genevieve. Got you.
Yeah.
Because she was one of them who was watching, like, man, I'm not doing that. And I was like, yes,
Uh-huh.
I'm right there with you, girl. Because no, I would just be sweaty and dirty and smelly till we get to the top of this mountain. Because no, it's too cold. Not doing it.
When are you gonna get hypothermia?
Absolutely not.
I mean,
It looks beautiful though.
Cool. Yeah. And it's there's really no way I would do. There's no way. You're gonna smell my stinking ass. I mean, I wore Wiccan underwear with the copper lining, so I'm doing my best. But it's just, hey, we're 7 days of stank ass. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, it'll be cool.
Get a little bit more character about some of these people. Some of the highlights I think that'll matter. Robert is a camp counselor, know-it-all weirdo.
Camp counselor Rob. Love camp counselor Rob and his relationship with Dusty. That's going to be my favorite thing in this season.
Dude, and he's like very aware of how annoying he is because he's like, hey, if anyone wants to tell me to shut up, like just say shut up, Rob. And like we get it later. Shweta is like, shut up, Rob. I got it. He's like, foot focus, go there. She's like, shut up, Rob. I got it.
She's like, I can do it. Just let me do it. Just let me do it. Oh my God. I laugh so hard because I'm like, there's no way she's not about to. And then she says it immediately. Hey, I got it. Like,
right.
And that is so funny that he literally says, I'm the annoying one. I'm the, I might say too much. And he doesn't control himself at all. And says, maybe not say nothing. Like,
right.
I'll keep the wilderness experience to myself and share it where people seems to want it. But no, he's he's the one who does the sock thing where they're like, oh, we just wet our socks. We got to drive out. And he's telling everybody like when they're following along the trails, all of this stuff. It's a lot. It's too much.
Yeah.
It's too much. We're already stressed out climbing up a mountain. I don't want to listen to you nag me on the way.
He's like, rock on the left. There's a branch on the right. Everybody look at this foliage. I'm a camp counselor.
Like, I can see, sir.
Bro, dude, shut up. Oh.
Like, I know you have 4 eyes, sir, but my 2 work just fine. I don't need you to do this. I can see where it's like, okay, watch this steep drop here. Like, okay, cool, you might lose your footing, but I don't need you pointing out everything along the way. No, stop it immediately. He would have been, if he's not 3rd or 4th, I would be surprised.
I would struggle with this show for the people, not so much the camping or hiking. Like I know I could do it with my buddies when I was in high school, and it's nothing crazy like this, but I mean, they were expert backpackers, and they're like, hey, you want to go backpacking with us for a weekend? And we did 33 miles in 3 days, which I found out later is a lot to do, and just one foot in front of the other, just walking.
Yeah, I would do something like that. Never had the opportunity, but that is a 1-2 punch of why I would definitely not do this show, because I'm going to be stressed out when we say we got to do this trek in 14 days, and then I got to deal with y'all too, and there's no weed out here. Oh, no. Somebody's not going to make it off this mountain. I couldn't do it. Especially if they're annoying like Rob.
Yeah.
Bless his heart. Probably a great guy. I'm sorry, Rob.
I think Rob's probably a great guy. I think Rob's one of those ones.
Yes, teach me a camp counselor song. I've always wanted to know one of the camp songs.
McDonald's, Kentucky Fried Chicken, Pizza Hut. Bo is in a bad way. Bo, yes. I know this because he's like, oh, I'm doing all right. I can walk downhill all right, and my ankles pop every time I do, but I think I can make it. They're walking down a hill as steep as they climbed up, and it's like, dude, you're not supposed to feel good about the downhill part. That's you could just roll down if you wanted to. Like, what the fuck, dude?
Yes, at that point, just lay down and go.
Yeah.
Oh man, and then bless his heart too. Dusty, whole way it's just like, man, I'll carry your pack for you to disguise that I'm not athletic at all, and everybody's just like, look at this Greek god back here helping Bo along the way. He's not even complaining, like that's crazy.
Yeah, Dusty's like, I'm gonna get you up that mountain.
But also the confessional being like, If you don't take care of your body, that's just like what I forgot what he said, or not like taking care of your house, and then also literally calling out Professor in the confessional. Oh, Amy, Patty, both they're not gonna make it. Like so, I'm like these two things are not lining up, but you're playing it right for the TV show, sir. I love it.
I like Dusty, and I liked his little intro as well, where he's like, "They got too much commission breath," and I'm like, "Ooh, I like that term. I'm using that one." Like whenever I deal with people selling me stuff, be like, "Ooh, I can smell that commission breath on you," you know, like because you could tell, you could tell when someone's
100%.
I think when we get to the bridge after that, this is the second bridge task. Yep.
Yes, the second bridge. And this one, instead of them holding each other, they're doing the planks.
Right. So they got like a bridge with some planks hanging on or whatever, and then they got a group of planks. And the whole like game of it is one person goes across, and they choose Jeff, the leader, to go across. And every person kind of brings a plank to make it a little bit easier for the next person. So ideally, you put the slowest people at the back so you can get across the fastest. You put the fastest people first, the strongest, the ones that can do 2 planks, to end up having a bridge that they can just kind of run across. They don't really plan it like that, and they spend way too long deciding who's going to come over. I mean, if I'm Jeff,
again, I want one of them to come on here and confirm. Did it really take y'all that long between choosing people to come across? Because that was ridiculous.
It was most of the episode was just like them. Every time a new person joined, they were re-strategizing, and it's like you either tell everybody
you had to continually reiterate,
right? You just shout across,
"Oh, I have to do this
one at a time," and you don't even have to leave the cutout part. But I mean, you just say. One, I don't choose. I choose you. You're going to choose the next person. It goes on like that. Start thinking about it. Whatever.
Right. You can pre-strategize that way. That makes sense.
But it took forever.
Although I wonder, do we get a different result far as who's the last person?
For sure.
If that is what they do.
Oh yeah. If Jeff really wanted to save Bo, then he should have told them. He should have like shouted it across. Someone should. But I think producers told him don't do that. I think the producers were like, you can't, like, hey, no, because there's people there. I think they're like, no, you don't do that. Mountain's Keeper comes along, drops a bag as Jeff gets across for the first time, and it's like, hey, last person coming across, you're gonna have to cut them, and they're gonna fall and be out of the game, which is like kind of like this part annoys me because the prize pot is supposed to be $1 million. If people quit, I understand that money is lost. Because then you use your votes to get the people out that can't make it. But this is like a producer-forced cut, because Bo wasn't going to quit, and they weren't going to leave him. So like they forced this amount of money to be cut from the final prize pot. Like that money doesn't fold back in, but it's like a gimmick in the game where they're like, hey, you don't get a choice. You have to cut this guy. Because, like, I would rather them give them the choice. Here's an axe. When the last guy's coming across, you can cut him and drop him down or not. Anybody can grab the axe and cut him. Because then it's fun. Like, who grabs the axe and cuts Bo? And it cuts. I think Dennis grabs the axe and it's like, see ya, Bo, or whatever.
If it's not Dennis, it's Darren, definitely.
It would have even been more fun to be like, here's the axe. Cut the bridge when you want. You get the first 3
that
people.
would have been
you get
crazy.
4 people off, and then like, see ya.
Hey, like we're definitely getting to the top now. Like that's a whole lot of dead weight.
I'll climb up to the top of this mountain for $75,000. That's easy.
That would have been.
Yeah, but I'm saying like
that would have been insane.
They added a gimmick. It took out any point of strategy, and they cut Bo when it wasn't Bo quitting or whatever. So. I just feel like it's a little disingenuous on the show's part because if there's people that are automatically going to get lost, regardless of what you decide, then the prize pot's not $1 million. It's $937,000 or whatever.
Yeah, I feel that. I was about to say at the very least they could have given Bo the decision to be like, hey, you're about to get cut off this rope. Do you want to give them your money? Like, do you feel like you made this bond to give these people your money? Or do you want to say, hey, they cut me off, they don't get my piece of the pot?
Exactly.
Like, hey, that would have been cool, too.
Agree. Just, like, something where it's like, hey, like, there are ways to make the money stay whole. Like, this is, like, there's no way to make the $1 million stay whole. Like, if nobody quits...
Because it's almost like
and we just vote everybody
It's almost
off.
like y'all don't even want to pay out that much. It's like, yeah, we gonna try to trim this down to like $500K by the end of this.
Exactly. Like if we get to like theoretically 8 pit stops, 18 people start, 10 people get to the summit, those 10 people should be splitting $1 million. Right? If they voted out everybody and that was it, then they should be splitting $1 million.
Right.
So,
exactly. I feel that.
That's my thought.
I gotta know what those people were told in that moment to justify this decision.
Yeah, I think we definitely need to get some work. I'm going to follow him on Instagram. I'm going to start reaching out and say we run a podcast and come do this.
Yes.
All right. Let's see. So I think the only really interesting thing on the bridge outside of Bo getting cut was Shweta. We already talked about telling Robert to shut up. That was like the only cool thing. Patty is super.
Yeah, and her freaking out about I can't carry the stuff, and they were trying to be like, was she faking it or not? And like, do you think she was faking it? I didn't see no tears, but
I don't know.
Kind of freak out about, I can't help, I can't carry a thing. Blah, blah, blah.
I don't know. If it was fake, that was a way wrong move. I was gonna say no matter what, if it was real or fake, that was the wrong move because it let them see her in a totally different light than anyone had seen her so far and give her another reason to vote her out.
Yeah. I'm about to say there was that, and then I just lost it because it came just as fast as it went. Dennis, I love when things pay off on TV.
And he's like, I can carry
being
two
so confident.
Drop. Yeah, dog.
It was the best thing ever. And everybody else's commentary throughout the whole thing was just carrying this moment.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, y'all can just stretch this. This is okay to stretch this out because y'all didn't have to show everybody coming across. But that moment needed to be shown of him. That, again, his ego just getting cut down a little bit more.
Yep.
I'm sorry, Dennis. I'm sure you're great. I'm not sure you're great. No. But, yeah, it was a cool moment. I love seeing it.
Patty makes it.
As a Dennis hater.
I know. Patty makes it across. And she's so sad. And I get it. She's sad. And I'll tell you, if that was not pushed by the producers, that whole thing was like genuine of Patty being like, come on over, B. And Bo's like, I'm coming for you, Ben. That is the most heart-wrenching, heart-fulfilling thing I've ever seen on television. If that was a real, genuine moment, kudos to the Summit for getting that moment because that was really incredible.
Yes.
Like, that was a really cool moment. And then...
I definitely felt like it was because they were leading up the back with the whole time those 2 days, so they had to have built the bond back there in the group.
Exactly.
So yeah, they got me. I shed a tear. A tear.
And then Jeff, sad Jeff, comes up and boom, slap.
Do you think he got it in one shot? No.
Maybe that rope was.
If he didn't, I would have loved to see it. Even though it would have broke up the tension in the emotional moment, I would have loved to see if he didn't get it in one shot.
The camera shot was just on an axe cutting a rope. There wasn't an actual we saw him make this, but we didn't see his axe cut the rope in that bridge fall. But I don't know.
Yeah.
But Bo falling was cool. That was fun. That was really fun. He's like running across. He's like, whoa!
I had the thought, I was like, man, I would have loved the shot of just him dangling in the air there after they cut him. But I'm like, again, would have took the emotional moment, tension out of the moment. So,
I mean, they did a lot to
that was great.
Like they really killed Bo. Like they made it seem like
Bo died. You did not see him.
Bo was dead.
That confessional was from the afterlife because you did not see him on camera with the group again.
No.
They were committed.
So then they start on their journey again after spending what feels like 3/4 of the day at this fucking bridge. So they start going up. Dennis notices the alliances because of course he does, but he knows that Jeff and Pumpkin are together. Nick, Dennis, and Shweta, is what he calls out. Which is interesting that Nick, because this is the first time Nick's really ever been mentioned, and Nick even says all these people think they're alpha. No, I'm the alpha. I just haven't even decided to play that game yet, which is interesting for me to hear. And then it cuts to Theron, our boy, and he goes, Team Theron, I'm Team Theron, y'all. Like Theron's playing the middle, and he's like, I'm Team Theron or die. I just go for me. And
Yes, he's gonna be our character
And
this season. I love that for him.
And I think he's going to do really well. I think because his mind, he plays all those board games. His mind is wired to strategy. You can't play that many board games and not have a mind wired to strategy. So no matter what you're doing, you're thinking about this strategy. So you're just walking, but he is thinking. His wheels are spinning. While a lot of people are like, fuck these slow people, and the slow people are like, oh, they won't wait up for us. He's just like, all right, where do these numbers go? How's there? And I'm going to play in the middle. I'm going to, like, he's playing all the sides. He's going to be everyone's alliance, and he's just going to ride his way to the top to make sure that he's there at the end.
And so far, besides the sweater thing, he was on track, because if they would have got rid of Bo at that first obstacle, they would have been good to go.
Yep.
They would have been good to go.
Yep. Let's see. So then they get to a point or they show that everybody's relying on Jeff. Jeff is really a huge help for everybody. I think Dusty is helping a lot and getting people across logs. And
big overconfident Dennis is stumbling through the forest like a toddler, just learning how to walk.
The mud and the water. I know. And then they're like, "Wait, hey, we need to do a shortcut." And I'm like, "Oh, so there is a map and a path you're following. So there is a point where you're like, hey, you could cut through this, but it's going to suck more, but you'll cut some time off." And so they make that decision. Yeah. But again, none of us have any idea. Show us a map. Show us where here's the trail. And they're deciding to go through here to get cut off time. Like, show us that distance. That it would mean so much more to us.
It just adds that much more entertainment value, and you just get to follow along with them. Like, that's why you watch reality shows. You want to kind of live that experience with them as much as possible. Yep. So, come on, Summit producers, get it together.
Fast forward, they make it back. They make it to checkpoint for the second time. Great. They get to sleep. They get to eat. Clearly, they have food and stuff there for them, and it's like a good old fashioned time. Even if it's raining, they're still in high spirits and stuff like that. They also bought all of that one periwinkle blue North Face, except for 3 pink ones. I noticed that. Everybody has blue except for 3. I thought it was like boys and girls. No, it's just a couple of pinks and the rest are periwinkle blue.
Shout out to the North Face sponsor for the summit.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's something.
Let's see. And then, this is where Dusty and Nick are talking, and they're like, I thought it was so funny. And Dusty's like, oh yeah, I guess we gotta vote somebody out. And it's like, yeah, dude, what the hell? What are you talking about? How's your mind not been on that the whole day since you did it the last time?
Yeah. At that point, you're thinking, okay, we got to get to this checkpoint. We got to get to the checkpoint. We have to vote somebody out at the checkpoint. That has to be back there at some point. How are they not talking about this as they're helping each other over obstacles and through the trail? Hey, I think it'd be a good idea to get rid of.
I wonder if they ever get to a point where they're like, let's say they get their solid 10. They're like, hey, we want all of us to win this money. None of us want any more than this 100,000 we're going to get, or whatever it is, 97,000. We're not going to any more checkpoints. We're popping up and camping our little sleeping bag tents right outside the checkpoint tank. We're walking right up to it and then just stop it. No votes. We don't need to vote tonight. I don't need your food or nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. So, and then Nick was just like immediate basic strategy and was like, oh, the slow people, blah, blah, blah. But then he's like, then he mentions Soetta, and that's why I'm like, oh, that's why they showed this conversation, because she's the one that's going to get voted out.
Indeed. It was so funny watching Dennis have that moment where they were talking, everybody. He's just like, they literally say, oh yeah, it might get to a point. It was him, Rob, Dusty, and Jeff are right there. And they are talking about oh yeah, it might get to a point where it's we want to get rid of the most likable people. And Dennis is literally looking Jeff in the eyes. He's saying this. It wasn't going to click to him. He's not a dummy. And Jeff calls him out so that's me, right?
Dude,
what are we talking about here?
Amazing. Jeff's like, oh, you're talking about me? Well, why do we got to do this? Why are you going to try and gun me out? We're making it up the mountain. A lot of us are going to win this money if we do it right. You don't need to try and get rid of me. We've got other people. If we get to that point, then let's get rid of each other. But for now, let's just be strong dudes getting up this fucking mountain together.
Right. It makes zero sense.
Yeah.
I don't. It's it's that aspect of it's $1 million involved. So now I want to do anything and just make it like. I don't know if is that a thing like where people get a money amount in front of them. So it's like I just gotta strategize super hard now.
Maybe, but it's not even $1 million. It's like realistically $100,000 to $200,000. You know, like it's not.
Right.
I mean, that's still a lot of money. I would do a lot of things for that amount of money.
Indeed.
And it's a very fair prize. But they can't be thinking that there's going to be one person that makes it up this mountain. And if there is,
right,
they've lost a lot of that money on the way because it's people quitting because they're not voting out every single person. So.
Yeah, and even Rob, that's what that's to connect that thought from earlier. That's where Rob says something about like, oh, we get up there with the most likable people, and I'm just like, what? Why does it matter who's likable or not in the group? Like, as long as we get up the mountain, that's the only point.
Right. We should always be trying to get all of us up there. That's the goal, is all of us up there. And if we have to get rid of one of you, we will. But the rest, anyway. Manu comes back out and is like, hey, y'all, this is real. You have to get rid of these slow people. And everyone's like, nah, Sweater.
Hey, you're behind for the 1000th time.
Yeah.
Who you voting out? They say Jeff, who everybody has said is one of the strongest people, and Sweater.
Yeah. I know.
No mention of, bless her heart, Patty. No mention of Patty. No mention of Amy. No, I can't think of anybody else that was that slow.
Again,
but
I don't know how they shot this, but like it made it seem like Manu comes out like, so who you guys thinking? Like, and they're like, maybe these two, and so he's just like, well, let's vote on those two. But it's like, really, you should be like, who wants to vote for this person? Who wants to vote for this person? Who wants to vote for this person? Yeah. And everyone's going to keep their hands down until they get to Sweater, and they're going to all go like that. But it shouldn't be that, because that's kind of what I was going to say. That's kind of what feels like it's going to push to this like majority rules thing, is if they kind of don't have a system for how they at least vote, and I like that it's out in the open. So
I wonder now, after this second vote, does it become now people start strategizing on who they want to go next as they're walking?
I think so. I'll say this for Shweta. I think she would, or Shweta. I think Shweta. Yeah, I think she would be great.
Shweta, yeah.
She's one of those people that is like, oh, she's a big brother. Traders maybe on NBC. She's one of those people that I could see coming back in another reality show somewhere along the she was interesting
and doing great.
Yeah,
I think she'd do a good job in another setting.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure if this was it.
Yeah, I don't know if this was it.
Maybe this group, I would say, because if they were smart, I think they could have kept her around for a little more. Maybe she'd have been a pretty good person to strategize with.
After 2 episodes, I'll say I'm really glad that the show isn't just 18 mountain people. 18 wilderness experts that are doing, because those people aren't interesting for TV. It is people that are like real life people with life stories and characters. Like they went out and cast it like a reality show. They didn't focus on the mountain part of it. They focused on the reality competition part of it. I think it's interesting enough, and there will be enough strategy after we lose a little bit of the slow pokes. I think that there will, once the decision's not easy, I'll be curious to see how it all shakes out. I'll be curious to see if there's like a villain that actually comes to fruition. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm really curious to see where some of the other challenges are too.
Yes. For what I see in the trailer, I think the most interesting is it seemed like they were in pairs in a boat for some reason. And I'm like, let's get some water stuff in here. Like everything, y'all don't have to keep triggering me with my fear of heights here. Okay,
let's do something else.
I gotta lean off him, Lobanos real quick.
Oh yeah. Pause.
Really serious sinus thing. It's a lifelong thing. Where's my sanitizer? We keep that close.
So do you have any winner picks? You got anybody that you're like, this is who I think, or maybe like people, maybe not winner, I guess we could say like, who are the 2 or 3 people you think like,
who do I want to see at the top of the summit?
Who's going to be at the top?
Well, obviously.
Wait,
obviously.
Hold on. Pull back. How many people do you think make it to the top? Let's start there. I'm just curious between you and me. I haven't thought about this till right now, and I'll go first if you want.
I landed on 6.
You think 6?
In my thought. I don't know if it's just because I like a particular 6, or that just seemed like a safe number of being like, all right, that seems like a good amount of money that I want to split amongst the people. Seems like that gives enough room for people to still.
Yeah.
I don't know if at a certain point in the competition would anybody even drop out, but like there gives room for people to be like, hey, I can't do this. Maybe a couple people quit along the way. Yeah, the injuries. Yeah, you never know, especially with something like this. So I landed on about 6.
Yeah.
Maybe. Although when you said 4, I was like, ooh, that would also be a perfect number right there. But
yeah, 6 makes sense because theoretically we're starting at 10. There's 18 people, 8 get voted out, so theoretically we're at 10. We've already lost 2, so really it's 8 or less. That's the number, 8 or less. You think 6? I think it's going to be 4. I haven't picked out exactly who, but I think Theron and Pumpkin are 2 of my ones. I'm like, I really see them being there. I think Pumpkin's underrated. Pumpkin's another one of those people where I was like, oh, dude, put her on the challenge. Like, she's already thinking about strategy, and she's like strong.
Yes,
like, put her on the challenge.
And she is up and down that trailer, so I'm very excited to see what we get from her.
And I hope I'll say I hope.
Go ahead.
I hope Nick. I like his like.
Okay.
These guys aren't alphas. I'm an alpha, but I'm just like playing along. I hope that's not just bullshit and smoke that he's blowing up. I hope it's like a real thing that happens. Yeah. But yeah. What about you?
It would be a dope if it actually pays off.
Yeah.
And I even had a note in my notes about Nick. Like he might wildflower his way through this game. I don't know how, but he might. But I hope he does make it. Fine ass Dr. Jeff. Bless his heart. I don't like thirsting over straight guys, but fine ass Jeff. I can't help it. Hope he makes it.
I hope so too, but I don't think he will, just because he's already got this attention on him. And man, I just feel like they're writing that story.
And I even said I think Dennis gonna come out on top of that, and I don't want it to happen, but I feel like Dennis might fucking make it through to the end of this show.
Yep.
I feel like he's gonna see the top of the mountain.
Yep.
Becky Lee.
Oh, Becky Lee.
We got a good package from her right off the rip. We got a good package from her, so I think she's another one to look out for.
I'm a big Becky. You think?
And maybe cat ears. Maybe cat ears. She might surprise us.
You think any of the moms make it up?
There's a lot of Amy in the trailer, so if one of them does, I wouldn't be surprised if it's not her. She seems to be the one who integrates herself the most socially with everybody, because she was even trying to build that bridge with Shweta.
Yep.
So I do, Amy might be able to pull it through.
Yeah, they love Amy. Hell yeah! Well, I mean, I think this is going to be a good show. I like it. I'm interested enough in it. I don't know if it's going to be like. It's definitely doing a lot of good being after Survivor. I'm way more interested in this show than The Amazing Race. I'll say that for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't even started The Amazing Race, so
you don't have to. The thing is we don't need to get down. It's a fine show to watch in the background when you're doing nothing, but there's no strategy involved in it. It's just you got to do the tasks the fastest. It's a very like true.
It literally
race.
is just a race.
It is a true race. There's like no. You're not allowed to sabotage anybody. You can kind of work together and get, but it's not, there's no real cool characters, good people. They cast it really fun, but it's not, it's not.
I mean, the couple of ones that came on the challenge were cool. So
yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah, they're cool, but they're like, oh, what's reality television? It's not, they're not wired for competition like that, where you got to lie, cheat, and steal. This is just like a very genuine, like, I want to beat those beaded rugs the fastest. I want to learn how to clop in Norway or whatever.
Right. So on that note, really quick before we get out, because I know we're wrapping up, is there any of the, besides, because I know you said Shweta for Big Brother and Pumpkin for the challenge, is there any other people on here you think would be good fits for any other shows that you're going to watch?
I would say Theron should be cast on Survivor immediately.
Yes.
On
Yes.
Survivor, actually, I think Theron and Becky Lee and I think Genevieve, the like black hair
cat ears
mom. Yeah.
I know.
The black haired mom.
Trader Joe's.
Yes,
I just know she works at Trader Joe's.
Whatever her name is, I think she would be good on there. The boys, all the strong boys, Dusty, Nick,
Jeff,
Nick, Dennis. They could
send them to the challenge.
Send them to the challenge.
Get over there.
Put them on the challenge. Becky Lee, put Becky Lee on the challenge. I think she holds her own pretty well. I think Shweta could learn to be on the challenge. Pumpkin. I mean, all of them are ones where I'm like, okay, even put Bo on Survivor. I'm dead serious. Put Bo on Survivor.
Yeah.
Put Amy on Survivor.
That was the show for him. Not walking up a mountain. No. Living on the island, perfect.
Right.
Walking up. Why would you put that man on the mountain?
And a lot of them also, I think, Robert would be perfect for Big Brother. Camp Counselor Robert, man.
Camp Counselor.
He gets voted out pretty quickly.
Immediately. Immediately.
He
starts telling everybody how to clean up the house.
Yeah.
Like, he starts organizing the kitchen for no reason.
Teaching camp songs.
I can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, teach me one, Rob. I just want to learn one. Okay? I just need one in my Serato.
But I am kind of glad that Bo is gone because I don't want to keep running on that storyline of that we're carrying Bo up this mountain. 2 episodes. Yeah, no,
we gonna have. Yep, it's perfectly fine. We summed it up. He built his bonds. He was a great guy for these 2 episodes. But yeah, no. Hopefully we see him on the island, though. I really do want to see him out there.
Yeah.
He might prosper.
Yeah. Great. Well, hey, that's it for this week's podcast. I think we're going to try and do these on Monday, maybe coming out Monday or Tuesday before the next week. So you can listen to it as a kind of a recap, get your mind right before you get into the next episode that airs on Wednesdays right after Survivor. Remember, all of this is on the Reality After Show Network. We got coverage of Survivor with Jonny Fairplay and Matt Bischoff. They do the Patreon episode every single Monday. It's only for Patreon members. It's just a catch-up bullshit episode. On Survivor front, we've got Kelly Wentworth on The Edge, which is incredible. We have Bryson Wen doing challenge recap along with Alex Trias, Dan Monchel, and Polly Calafiore directly after the challenge on Wednesdays. You can pop on and watch them. There's an Anonymous podcast, which I'll be honest, I haven't watched the Anonymous yet, but I'm sure people like it, so you can check that out. And we also have Rachel Riley and Jen Hoffman doing Reality Queens, talking about Big Brother, which just ended. So if you are a Big Brother fan, go listen to their podcast because they are wonderful. Rachel Riley, former winner. Enjoy the Patreon. You get all this free stuff, and you can listen to all of our podcasts ad-free on the Patreon, which is huge if you don't want to listen to ads. It's $7 a month, and there's other tiers. And if you need a present for somebody, get a cameo from Jonny Fairplay on Cameo. He's really good at it. I think that's it. Ohmar, where can people find you? You got anything going on?
Not yet. Do you have something coming around the corner?
Okay, cool.
I am not. I'm probably the oldest. Gen Z? I'm probably the oldest 28-year-old you'll ever meet. I only really do Facebook. I only just got Instagram to communicate with people about podcast stuff. So if you want to follow me, I don't really be on there, but I mean, I will be more active now since I am doing a social media thing. So you can follow me on Instagram at the1OG. That's THEE #1OG. And y'all see some things coming down the pipeline soon.
I'm a stand-up comedian in Cincinnati. I do stand-up comedy. Follow me on Instagram. That's the best way for people to see that people like me. I put out jokes and pictures of my daughter, I guess. Also come to a show. I'm in Cincinnati, Ohio. I run a weekly show at a bar called The Comment. It's called Comedy at The Comment. It's every single Saturday. We do 2 shows. We bring in national touring comedians and a bunch of locals. It's fun. It's cheap. There's burritos. It's a good time. So if you're in or around Cincinnati looking for a night out, come through. If you are listening to this podcast and you are coming through, shoot me a message on Instagram to let me know you're coming so I can look out for you and we can hang out and talk. I'm approachable. I'll buy you a beer probably. So follow us.
Oh, I also forgot to add, I am way more active on Facebook. Just look for Ohmar Gibson Jr. You'll find me, bro. I promise.
Cool.
But yeah, that is where you'll find, if you want to interact with me for any reason, that is where you will get the most interaction, people. So yeah,
And
I forgot all about that.
I'd say follow me on Facebook too, at Wayne Memmott on everything. Ohmar, killer app, great show.
Yes.
Excited to talk about it with you every single week. Let us know that you liked it.
Indeed.
Like and subscribe. Put a comment in the YouTube. Hey, say this sucks or this is good. I don't care what you think. Tell us who you think's going to win. Tell us how many people. Answer our questions. And if you're on the show, goddamn, tell us that you want to come on and we'll talk to you.
Yes, please.
Right,
and if you in those comments, I will be in there too.
Yeah, we'll be in there.
Okay, I'm just saying. I'll be in there too.
Go. All right.
Oh, yes. With words.
Ohmar, we'll see you next week, brother. I'll talk to you soon.
Peace.